On Wednesday, the court weakened Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act to no longer protect minority representation in the House. Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry has already postponed his state's primary elections, where some absentee ballots were already sent in. People had voted to instead redraw its existing congressional map, while Alabama and other southern states have announced special sessions to redraw their maps as well. In a new piece for MS Now, our next guest points out the importance of the American people in this moment, saying, quote, "The fight for a multiracial democracy is the central pillar of our national story. For 250 years, we have grappled with our choices and sometimes suffered the consequences. But we have always moved forward when people organized, persisted, and refused to back down." Joining us now, Stacey Abrams, who wrote that, founder of Fair Fight and 2022 Democratic candidate for governor of Georgia. Madam Leader, thank you very much for joining the weekend.
Madam Leader? What do you mean, Madam Leader? She didn't hold in the office. She's not the governor. Madam Leader. These people are sick.
As always, I feel like we as the royal we, us in D.C., in the media, the lawmakers, we often ask so much of the American people, right? We just had a conversation about what the American people can do to overcome this. And I'm finding myself frustrated, as I think a lot of Americans are, especially folks that watch this show, that they keep fighting, they keep getting out there, they keep voting, they keep trying to stop the things that are happening, and yet they found themselves powerless because you have an administration. You also have a legislative branch that doesn't seem to care that the majority of people look at the things they're doing and have huge issues with them, that they're making, in the words of many civil rights activists over the last couple of days, they're making black and brown people second-class citizens in this country once again.
All right. So there's probably a few of you, I'm not even looking at the chat, like, I don't want to see this. Like President Trump said, you watch it. Watch what I'm about to show you. Don't look away. Understand the fight that's coming for you and how freaked out they are, because we're winning. They know we're winning, and they can't do anything about the fact that we're winning. And I don't think these guys are prepared for what Stacey Abrams does when she starts talking to them. Matter of fact, I know they're not prepared. Matter of fact, I know you're not prepared for what you're about to hear in a couple of minutes.
Eugene, and I want to say thank you to all of you for the coverage you're giving this. And I want to start by saying the power is the point. We're not powerless. In fact, we are so not powerless that they are trying to legalize the restoration of Jim Crow. That's what's happening here, because our power was working. We had laws across this country that allowed black and brown citizens to be fully realized as members of this society. We have the Americans with Disabilities Act. We have the Fair Labor Standards Act. We have FMLA. We used to have bodily autonomy for women. We were on the way to a multiracial, multi-ethnic, multi-generational, pluralistic democracy. And the racist, fascist leadership that starts in the White House but extends to the Supreme Court, members of Congress, and to the state and local level, they're angry about that. They're angry.
Everybody's racist. The fact that you got this decision, that means everybody. Yeah, down to the local level, the governors, the mayors, everybody's racist. We don't get to win, so everybody's racist. We're on our way to what? See, that's the question. Excuse me, Miss Abrams, yeah. Other than the $2 billion that you stole and got away with, other than that, what are you on? What were the black people on their way to? Because I don't think anybody told them. They are more interested in keeping power than using power. If you wanted to use power, you would fix it so people wouldn't have to wait for people like me to buy houses and gentrify them. People like me wouldn't have to tell these people, you got to do something about these rats. People like me wouldn't drive through and look at, people just hanging out. If you've been working for so many years, why has nothing changed? because it's not about that. It's not about changing the hood. It's about changing the people who run the hood who are now in Washington. Everything she says, we're changing this, we're changing. Now all of a sudden she's like, we can't change it anymore.
Agree about the power that the people hold. And what they understand that we sometimes forget is that power is never completely won or lost. It is a tug of war, and we were tugging too hard. And that is why we've seen this vicious and fast, lightning fast, stripping of our power. But
so does she just admit that they effed up? We pulled too hard. We tugged too fast. We went overboard. Like throwing everything but the kitchen sink at DEI at us, telling boys can play women's sports and a man becomes a woman. And how much did you expect the American people to take? You tugged too hard? No, you were playing tug of war and you cut the rope so everybody would fall back. You thought you could just keep pushing. We're going to do mail order pills so you can remove your babies. We're going to bring in all these people in the border. You're not going to say anything. Everything you did was a bridge too far. It's crazy.
been at it for years. And the work that I do, the work that so many of us are out there doing, is about restoring our belief that we are entitled to that power. But power is...
If you didn't hear it, you wouldn't have believed it. Did you hear what she just said? We are entitled to that power. Where in the world would she and any of the people in the civil rights era feel that at some point they didn't move from working with white people and trying to do different things to help black people to we are entitled to it? Her words, not mine. Listen to her say it again in case you missed it. Entitled. She's entitled to that $2 billion, I guess. Here, listen to her say it again.
That I do, the work that so many of us are out there doing, is about restoring our belief that we are entitled to that power. But power is not handed back to you. Power is stolen from you, or in a democracy that effectively works, it is shared. And so our job in this moment is to not be weary because they are fighting hard. They're fighting hard because we were winning.
Ah, all right. So I'm a study of what people say. I like to listen to words that people say. What did she say? Put it in the chat. We were winning. The realization that people on the left woke up and are now using past tense to describe where they are. We were winning, and this guy Trump came along.
Leader Abrams, I'm going to put up a map of states in jeopardy in the South. And I put that map up because...
All right, so I want you to look at this map as well. This is where things are going. This is how things are going to be. Look at the red on the right side. There are going to be little pockets of blue, but for the most part, it gets evaporated. On the left side, currently, it shows them having 24 seats. On the right, it shows them losing 13. I don't know why they put it up there that way so people wouldn't freak out, but it's basically a negative 13. She's right. They were winning.
Because I think you know where I'm going with this because you are a student of history. The two states that are missing from this map are Arkansas and Texas. What we are looking at, and Virginia, what we are looking at is basically a map of the old Confederacy. And so this tug of war...
Oh, it's going to putting you all back in chains is what he says. We're looking at a map of the Confederacy. That sound like someone who's winning? That sound like people who feel like they have any chance of winning? No.
That you're talking about goes back to the Civil War. Please put into historical context for folks so that they truly understand. And I'm always pointing out that true democracy in this country is only 61 years old.
Yes.
if you go back to the passage of the 1965 Voting Rights Act and why that was necessary.
All right, so now they're going to try and equate and said there were no civil rights, obviously, before the civil rights era. We all know black people couldn't vote. We all know women couldn't vote. We all know people like him couldn't get married to people like him. Things changed. But like she said, you pushed too far. Many of us knew if you let these people get married, you know what's coming next, right? You know they're going to keep pushing. You know they're going to have drag time stories. They're going to do all kinds of deviant stuff. You know they're going to let That's what happened. You pushed too far.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jonathan. So let's start with what the Civil War decided. So post-Civil War, we have 3 amendments that we talk about. The 13th Amendment that ended slavery for most people, unless you're in prison. You have the 14th Amendment that...
Oh, God. Unless you're in prison. Are prisoners slaves? Why did you have to throw that in there? Now we have another Democrat campaign to release prisoners because prisoners are the same as slaves. We had to, made slavery illegal except in prisons. Their minds constantly try to think how they're going to screw America.
Guaranteed birthright citizenship for now. And then you have the 15th Amendment that said that the right to vote for everyone except for black women, or actually at the time, black women and white women. And
you mean women? Let's just call it.
And when you get to the Voting Rights Act, finally we add black women into it. But the 15th Amendment said that you could not deny the right to vote based on race. And so what we saw was that it was working. We saw the sudden flourishing of black men in Congress.
I'm checking the Supreme Court thing. No, it doesn't say black people can't vote. See how they conflate that? Because they have to. You have to rile people up. They're taking away your ability to vote. Said nobody ever except the people, like her.
Men as governors, we saw a sea change, and it was so effective that Andrew Johnson rescinded all of this. And that's when we had what we know as the end of Reconstruction. Then you fast forward. The 19th Amendment gave white women the right to vote. And then you get to 1965. And that is when the Voting Rights Act for the first time said that black people were full citizens of this country because they could vote. And it started to work. And then in 1975, there was an expansion of the Voting Rights Act that said that using racial issues and language issues to exclude Native Americans, Asian Americans, that was also unlawful. And so while black people have always been the centrifuge of fighting for democracy.
Wow. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, you Asians and Italians and Irish. We are the key to the castle. Us black people, we're the ones that's most important. These people are so full of themselves. That's why they're freaking. Somebody just went and pulled out the rug. Clarence Thomas took the rug and just pulled it out from underneath them. They got so comfortable. As she said, we tugged just a little too far. You tugged way too far. It just came snapping back at you.
This is something that implicates everyone. The work that we do with the 10 Steps campaign is about making sure that we see the whole map, that we understand all of the pieces that make our democracy work. But to your point, that map that you show is no longer just black and white. It is black and white and brown, but more than half of black Americans live in the states that we're looking at. And so what we have to understand is that if they are capable of stripping power from that population, Democrats can't win again.
There it is. I know some of you are like, why is Barry playing this witch? Because of what she just said. What she just said. That's when you all sit back and get ready to light the cigar. Don't light it yet, but you got to just dampen the edge. They know it. They fully know it. You now need to know it. We can't win again. Notice what she didn't say. She didn't say black people in the hood and black people who, want to, quote, overcome. they'll never be able to do it. She said, we can't win. They've exposed themselves. They walked up and pulled up the kimono and they're all naked because that's all they care about. We could never win again. Now you understand the stakes. Now you want let me replay that so you can hear her actually say it. And I'll play it past it so you know I didn't stop out of context. Listen to her.
Stripping power from that population, Democrats can't win again. Progressives can't win again.
Thank you. She just told the MSNBC audience, MSN now, they can't win. Progressives can't win. Democrats can't win. But you won't see that on X. You may not have seen this interview because they probably buried it. They're like, oh my God, she said it on air. She said the words that we don't want people to know. We can't win again. Not this year, not next year, not 4 years from now. We're done. If we can't bamboozle these black people to keep us in power, we're effed. We're completely screwed. We'll never win again. And yet there's people in this chat listening to some people on X talking about, oh my God, and grifters and panicants. And I'm like, if they're admitting it, if the Democrat socialist nut jobs are admitting it, we're done. We're screwed. We'll never win again. How in the hell are some of these people still talking on X about, oh, I don't know how Trump's going to do it in the midterms. I don't know. MAGA needs to turn their back. Huh? Why would you turn your back when you're winning? You should be celebrating. You should be tuning out some of these people on X. Don't listen to me. She said it. She's deeply entrenched in the Democrat Party. She's the one who just said, we can't win.
That we're looking at. And so what we have to understand is that if they are capable of stripping power from that population, Democrats can't win again. Progressives can't win again.
That's music to my ears. That's I'm not lighting the cigar yet because I wouldn't get that cocky. But at this point, every single one of you in the chat, your head should have snapped and said, what? They're actually admitting it? So Trump has said it many times. Hey, if we get this done, they could never win again. Oh, Trump's a liar. He's a pedo. He's all these things. And there's grifters who you know on X doing their shows going, oh, the midterms are awful. But yet the Democrats themselves are now admitting we're screwed. We're done. We'll never win again.
We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more.
And that we are. We are going to definitely win more. People need to realize it. People need to understand their focus, where you need to be skating, what puck, how you need to get ready for what's coming, because it's going to get bad. These people, they know they've lost. I showed you the other day, Mark Elias was on. He was talking to Nicole Wallace. So what do we got to do? Oh, we got to keep fighting. There's nothing they can do. Now we just got to bring this ship into port, and hopefully all the people on our side are still on the boat, which makes you have to wonder, or should make you wonder, why these people on X are screaming all this crap. Why? You know who they are. I'm not going to mention them. They're people with big audiences, big giant audiences, telling you everything sucks and the midterms are already lost. But yet the Democrats are telling you, we're done. We're done.
Democracy cannot win again unless the entire nation comes together to, for the second time, fight for black and brown folks in the South.
So she just said the Democrats can't win unless, quote, the entire nation, meaning you, me, the entire nation comes and fights for black people in the South. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, honey, but that ain't gonna happen. That ain't even close to happening. The entire nation, with everybody having their own problems and ideas and how they want to live life, you think the entire nation is going to come together and save you Democrats? You're screwed. You're done. And I'm tired of dealing with panicans and grifters out there who are saying otherwise. If the actual Democrats at MSN now, if they're saying it, why the hell would I listen to Republicans, rhinos, and other people who say otherwise?
And Leader Abrams, I just want to take a look at some of these headlines that have come as a result of this ruling that we heard. The Louisiana governor is postponing the U.S. House primary elections after Supreme Court ruling. Alabama and Tennessee are now setting special sessions to consider new congressional maps. And the Supreme Court has triggered Mississippi redistricting special session. You know, there's not a lot of precedent here for what we're seeing, especially when it comes to actually postponing an election that some people have already started casting their ballots for. But this kind of confusion, what does that do to voter turnout?
I will actually point out we have seen it before. We've seen it in authoritarian nations where they suspend election.
So Trump's Hitler again. That strategy has worked really well for you. He's Hitler, Mussolini, all of it all together. That's not going to work, honey.
We've got to remember the United States is not immune to authoritarianism. We're not immune to the seizure of power by the regime in charge. So we have seen it. We've just not seen it here in decades. But let's be clear about what we can do. One, we have to keep talking about it.
Okay, that's going to work. She's got like a little 10-point plan here. Let's keep talking.
We have to lift up what's happening, but we also have to sue. The Supreme Court has,
Oh, you got to sue. Anything about helping these black people yet? Oh, so far we got two different things. We got to sue. We got to keep it in court. We got to do everything we can. Sue.
It's not weakened the Voting Rights Act. It has killed the Voting Rights Act.
You hearing this? It didn't weaken the Voting Rights Act. It killed it. So I don't know how many dead people you've seen, hopefully none in your family, or dead animals, but those things don't come back. So what are they going to do? If the Voting Rights Act, as far as they're concerned, is dead, you got to start from scratch. It's dead. It's not coming back. There's no defibrillator. It's done. So as you've heard tonight so far, you've heard her say they can't win. Not Democrats, not progressives, if we don't get this fixed. And now she just said it's dead. So I'm supposed to listen to people on X tell us how we're going to lose the midterms? Okay.
Because we have to look at longitudinally. They started with Shelby v. Holder, then they did the Russo decision, the Ivanovic decision. This is the fourth one. So they've done their best. They've now killed the effectiveness of the Voting Rights Act. But they have not stripped us of the ability to go to court and slow these things down.
I guess she hasn't looked. So let me address that with you. She said we can go sue, but the Supreme Court pretty much put the kibosh on that in advance. They said in order for you to sue, you have to prove that it was racially intentional. That Louisiana and all these places, they did it with the intention to hurt black people. Good luck with that. Good luck trying to prove that the intent was to hurt black people.
And so our first job is to make certain that in every one of these states, in Tennessee, in Mississippi, in Louisiana, what they're trying to do here in Georgia, what they've done in Florida, we have to litigate. That is step 5 in the 10 steps to freedom and power. If you're going to fight authoritarianism, you got to litigate. But we also have to engage. And this goes back to Eugene's point. I know we are tired, but they want our weariness to turn into paralysis. You started with May Day, showing up, protesting, economic boycotts.
So you're telling me one of your big things is engaging economic boycotts from people who don't have any money, probably is not going to work. And have any of the protests, even one, have any of the protests worked for black people? At some point, There's got to be a limit. You keep telling these people we're going to protest. I'm like, well, man, I've been here since George Floyd. I was here BLM. I was here in the 60s. Nothing's changed. You're going to have to get your white liberal white ladies out there because I ain't getting out the hood. I'm going to go over to Miami and watch this race, okay?
All of these things are necessary to prove our point that we are not going away. When I ran for governor in 2018, we increased voter turnout, not through registration alone, but we increased voter turnout by 800,000 people.
Were some of those people dead? Were some of those people not supposed to be in this country? Because what's coming for you is the big, giant, Trump-sized eraser. Oh, they're coming for you. 800,000 people you registered to vote? Okay, let's see how they are.
In the state of Georgia, on the Democratic side, we can do that again. I'm not sui generis. I'm loud and I'm aggressive, but I'm not alone. And so we have races in Mississippi with Scott Cullum. We have races in Nevada with Aaron Ford. We've got races in New Mexico with Deb Haaland, but we've also got races in Georgia and in Alabama with Doug Jones. We can start winning state and local races as well as congressional races.
All right, so I told you this the other day. This is where they're changing their plan. We're going to look at state and local races. They want to take over your towns. So now you are incumbent. You now have to do your homework. When are they doing an election for dog catcher? And see if there's some rule someplace that if the dog catcher decides he wants to take the job as the vice mayor, he could just do it. They're gonna try every little thing to try and steal locally. And God forbid you're in some town where these people find a loophole to stiff you. She just told you what the game plan is. The other guy, Mark Elias, said they are now going to focus really local. Whoopi Goldberg said it. Think nationally, act locally. That's their plan. Their plan is to start all the way deep into your neighborhood, your city commission, and change all kinds of things at that level. So if you don't get out and do something about it, if you don't watch, if you don't subscribe to the emails of when they're doing stuff in your town, you're going to get screwed. They've already conceded the national level. They can't do anything about it. They're going to come for your local towns.
We have to understand that we've got to win chambers back. We've got to then start pushing those blue states that already have power to expand that power, to pass voting rights laws. We've got to fight these maps. We cannot take as a fait accompli that they have won simply because the Supreme Court said it. Because the same Supreme Court, different composition, same ethos, did Dred Scott. So we've got to remember.
Did she just compare a 2026 Supreme Court decision with Dred Scott? They got nothing. I mean, they literally have less than nothing.
We have fought before and we've won before. It is never easy because the fight for power is never easy.
I thought this was about black people. I thought the fight was to make sure black people and brown people and people of color had a better life. How did this morph into nothing more than a power play? Because that's all the Democrats care about. That's all they've ever cared about. And now they're freaking because they don't know how they're going to put this broken Humpty Dumpty back together. It's destroyed. It's dead. She said it. They killed it. And I ain't going to say it, but you got to stop listening to people who are full of crap, man.
But ultimately, this is a nation that believes in self-governance, and that cannot happen if the people cannot be heard, and that is our responsibility. That's why I created the 10 Steps campaign to encourage us to meet all of the organizations across this country that are doing this work, because we don't all have to do the same thing, but we must all do something, and that means using every lever of political and social power that we have.
Every lever of political and social power that they have. Not once did she mention how to help people in the hood. The very people she says she's fighting for, she didn't say a word in there about them. It's all about power. How do we fix this? How do we get back in power? Power, power. They're coming for you.